Honestly, I'm so tired of people not knowing what's going on, and also tired of people not understanding where these acts of hate and violence towards Asians is coming from. Anyway, I came across these words by Min Jin Lee. So Min Jin said, "In less than 48 hours, we had a historic Asian Oscar moment with multiple firsts in 93 years. Then a mass shooting targeting 3 Asian-owned businesses. This is how terrorism works. You're not allowed to feel safe, accepted, or valued. We can resist, take up space, and make noise." Last night's shootings with the acts of violence against the Asian elderly, with all of these close to 4,000 hate crimes that have happened in the past year, I'm always wondering why. Like, how did it come to this? Like, why is there that hate? And these things happen when people have rage and entitlement, and when they prey on the weak. And I really don't want to cry right now, because I do not want to perpetuate the idea that Asian women are weak, because we're not. I'm angry because I don't want to be bitter. I've lived my entire life trying not to be bitter and trying to move forward in a society run by white supremacy. And so I do hope that this younger generation lives in a world that where they don't have to deal with this, or that they at least have the tools and the allies to deal with it better than I'm dealing with it now. And I just want to say these things. Yes, it comes from entitlement and rage, but this racism starts at a very small level. It starts with things that you say. It starts when someone calls a virus that shut down the whole world the Kung Flu virus, but it also starts when you roll your eyes or make fun of the Asian waiters and Chinese delivery food people and the nail artists. And, I'm guilty of that too. And when the amount of times in my life that I've been asked where I'm from before I'm asked what my name is, the undervaluing that does. And when starting with children, when every Asian kid should be able to be good at math and to be able to play a classical instrument and not be bullied and shunned and told you're only good at that because you're Asian. That makes literally no sense. It starts with the stupid little jokes, even with your close friends. It starts with saying, "Oh, this is a good time for you to be in that industry because ethnic is really in right now." I could go on and on and on. And at some point, someone could have told him what he was feeling and thinking, and that hate was wrong. And it starts at a really small level, and I think we can do it.
This is truly horrifying. 8 people dead, 6 of them Asian women. And soon we'll learn all about them and who they were in life, but all we know right now is that they are dead, and a 21-year-old white man with a gun killed them. And what's been sad about the story is not just the loss of life, but all of the auxiliary things that have been happening around the story. One of the first things that's been the most frustrating for me is seeing the shooter say, "Oh, it wasn't racism, it was sex addiction." First of all, you, man. You killed 6 Asian people. Specifically, you went there. If there's anyone who's racist, it's a who kills 6 Asian women. Your murders speak louder than your words. And in a way, what makes it even more painful is that we saw it coming. We see these things happening. People have been warning. People in the Asian community have been tweeting. They've been saying, "Please help us. We're getting punched in the streets. We're getting slurs written on our doors. We're getting people coming up to us just saying, thanks for COVID. Thanks for spoiling the world. Thanks." We've seen this happening. And while we're fighting for it, there are many people who've been like, oh, stop being so woke and so dramatic. Kung flu, come on, ha 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 ha. It's just a joke. Yeah, it's a joke that has come at one of the most tense times in human history. This guy didn't go and kill these women by mistake. It's like he knew what he was doing. And it's so frustrating to see this keep happening in America over and over again. America sees things coming. It knows something is gonna happen, but it does nothing to stop it. But then is all in on saying, oh, so tragic, oh, so who could have predicted this tragedy? Anyone who was looking at it could. Why are people so invested in solving the symptoms instead of the cause? America does this time and time again. A country that wants to fight the symptoms and not the underlying conditions that cause those symptoms to take effect. Racism, misogyny, gun violence, mental illness, and honestly, this incident might have been all of those things combined, because it doesn't have to be one thing on its own. America is a rich tapestry of mass shooting motivations. But whatever you do, please don't tell me that this thing had nothing to do with race. Is where you see the police officer come out and almost trying to humanize the shooter more than the people who got shot. He was at the end of his rope. It was a bad day for him. For him? Yo, yesterday was a bad day for him? No, yesterday was a bad day for all the people who lost their lives. It's a bad day for... It's always interesting who police try and find the humanity in. Like, I can guarantee you, if a black person or brown person went on a mass killing spree in a white neighborhood, not a would a police officer go on TV and say, well, he was kind of at the end of his rope and this is what he did. They barely have patience for black protesters who are not killing anybody. In this instance, find an anti-hate organization. Try and work with them. Reach out to people who need support. Donate your money, donate your time, whatever you can, but do something. And most importantly, let's try and pay attention so that it doesn't happen again. Because the truth is, we could see this coming.
And I was just shocked. I stopped what I was doing, and my first thought was, not again. How can it be happening again? And we've made, there's a number of us who have been very vocal, including Olivia Munn, who you mentioned, and we've done everything we can to get the word out, and yet we don't find these attacks abating. We find them accelerating, and this is really discouraging. And so what more could be done? How I could activate my friends and allies who are not Asian American to help with this cause.
I'm so angry and full of grief because of what happened yesterday in Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for 7 years, and I just don't understand. And it is a hate crime. It is a hate crime. When you kill 8 Asian women, it's a hate crime.
The hate-fueled attacks on Asian Americans are disturbing. But why are we surprised? For many of us as Asian Americans in this country, we know what it feels like to be told we don't belong, that we're perpetually foreigners. And even though others try to minimize us to one entity, we represent so many different cultures, so many different backgrounds, so many different stories. We're tired of this hateful violence. We're tired of talking about it, but we're not done speaking out. Far from it. Listen to your AAPI brothers and sisters. We must learn to love one another, to hear one another's anguish and actually care. And let's put an end to this violence and hate together.
My heart goes out to all the family members who lost someone in those horrific shootings on Tuesday. I know they feel that like there's a black hole in their chest they're being sucked into, and things will never get better. But our prayers are with you. And I assure you, the one you lost will always be with you. Always be with you. And the day will come when their memory brings a smile to your lips before it brings a tear to your eye, as unbelievable as that is now. It will take a while, but I promise you it will come. And when it does, that's the day you know you're going to make it.
Justice is all I see. We never had democracy. Justice is all I see.
I am angry at the excuses made for a white supremacist who murdered our siblings and the inability of this country to decide if that slaughter of 6 Asian women was racially motivated.
Say it.
I am angry at the continued violence brought on Asian elders, women, and femmes across the so-called United States. I am also angry at the way some voices in the Asian American community continue to co-opt the language, energy, and movement for Black liberation, as if our path to liberation is not intertwined, as if liberation is a zero-sum competition, as if we must be in conflict with other oppressed peoples to fight for the white man's approval. I am angry at the way some mainstream Asian American voices and the white liberal class have flattened last night's massacre into a talking point on Asian American hate crimes and are making faint calls for solidarity. The same voices that are ignoring class as central to this tragedy. The same voices who are turning around and calling for increased police presence in our communities. The same voices who are deeply invested in the maintenance of racial capitalism and U.S. imperialism.